What's going on, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another episode of StarChasers Girls Talk Ball Offseason Edition. As you know, it's your girl, Cravin Cowboys, and as always, I got my sister, Stargazer Sports, in the building. How you doing, girl? How you doing tonight?
Doing great. What's up, everybody? What's up, JV? Dak owns Filthy.
Yeah, what's up, Bruce?
Glad to see everybody in the chat tonight. Glad to be here for another episode of StarChasers Girls Talk Ball.
Yes.
Please help us. I hate begging, but I guess at this point, y'all leave me no choice. Please like the video. Please like the video. That's the only way that our it helps the algorithm with them pushing our content out in front of more viewers so that we can get more views. Y'all know Mickey and I work so hard to put out the content, so we should be rewarded for that for free. With just a simple like is free. You know, a simple hit the subscribe button is free. Sharing is free. So please help us grow our YouTube channels. Please donate to our Cash Apps. You can see it down there on the screen. My YouTube channel, Stargazer Sports, Mickey's Cravin Cowboys.
Yeah, like my girl said, yeah, hit the like button, share button, subscribe. If you're listening on Twitter, hit the retweet, hit the sub button, hit the follow button if you're not already following us. And we gonna get straight to it. As you guys know, we were just talking about this off camera. Like a lot of news, like we were just saying like a month ago, y'all, we were starving for Cowboys news or football news in general. And now it's here, and it's the water dam broke. News is coming out like crazy. You know what I'm saying?
The news is here. The news is here for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So as you know, we're in the second week. Mandatory now. It's mandatory minicamp. The young guys getting together with the older guys, and like Mike McCarthy said, it's kind of jumping into it. He had another press conference today. And like he said, just to in case anybody in Cowboy Nation is not aware, minicamp OTAs is mostly for the younger guys, first, second year guys coming in.
How many times, right, sis? Like you keep saying it over and over again.
Yeah, he has to remind everyone, even the media guys, who want to take attendance every day.
Right. He said it's for the rookies and the second year players. Rookies, second year players. Rookies. Second year players. But anyway,
period. Right. And also, I mean, if you really want to get specific, also for the coaches too, the newer coaches coming in, trying to get their hands on these players. Zimmer, and even Zimmer. Like I'm not even, people are in a big hoopla about Zimmer not talking that much with Micah. I'm sure he hasn't had that much to say with even all the players, because that's why he hired these other coaches to come in with him.
Exactly.
Coach L is to come in and have their hands on these players, and even guys who have been here, Scott McCurley, Al Harris getting hands on our fifth round pick, Kalen Carson.
Yeah,
it's really these assistant coaches. These positional coaches who are supposed to have their hands on these players. You know what I'm saying? And these young players, for the most part, of course, getting them to mesh well with the older guys. But we're really looking at them to see what they can produce out of these players. I mean, we see what Harris can come out with, right? We've seen Bland, we've seen Diggs, and what he can produce. We're still looking. And shout out. I really want to give a shout out to Kyle Yeomans. I think it was Kyle Yeomans who actually said that Scott McCurley, should be really looking be under a microscope this year as far as a coach, having something to prove, because not saying he's gotten by. Coaches always have a responsibility, but looking at this linebacker room, if you guys look at the thumbnail, we're going to be talking about linebackers specifically this episode. Jumping on defense for the next couple of weeks. Scott McCurley, granted, yes, he didn't have a lot last year. LVE went down early, unfortunately. I'm saying we had Damone Clark, who wasn't, coming into his second year, first year hurt, and even he said he looked at it as his rookie year. He had young guys, and he didn't have a lot. I'm saying, so losing that many guys to injury, and then fortunately this year picking up some help in Kendricks and getting essentially a coach on the field, and hopefully, and even McCurley. I'm saying he has to learn the new defense. I mean, maybe that's something I realized today listening to some of these interviews and these players talking. I had to remember that these coaches also as well had to learn Zimmer's defense. So not only these players had to catch up, these coaches got to get steps in line as well.
Yeah, they sure do. And it's crazy that you bring up Scott McCurley, because I'm not going to give it away, because I got a video coming out tomorrow. Shameless plug. Y'all check it out.
No, ain't no shame. No, right. No shame.
Tomorrow, tomorrow at 10 a.m. I'm breaking down Damone Clark's interview that he did. They dropped it last night.
Yeah,
but
very good interview.
It was clear that it's basically now two linebackers with Damone and Demarion Overshown just talking about how Zim is a teacher. That's all. But how Zim is a teacher, and Damone also brought up Paul Gunther. Micah brought up Paul Gunther, right? Micah said,
talk about it.
That, hey, I spent a lot of time with Paul, so I'm already caught up. Damone said that he's been spending a lot of time with Paul, a lot of time with Mike Zimmer. And it's just amazing to me that when these players are bringing up, why they feel relieved and why they feel more comfortable, they're not bringing up Scott McCurley. Nobody is
don't do that while I'm drinking. Come on now. Nobody's
picking up Scott McCurley. Not a single soul has even mentioned his name. You wouldn't even know who this man is if they didn't once a year do a coaching review. And you go to the Dallas Cowboys website, then they got Scott McCurley up there. But it was clear that he did not know what the hell he was doing. Therefore, our players did not know what the hell they were doing. Because if we looked at the linebackers, it's like y'all never got better. Damone, you look confused from the first week to Green Bay game. Marquise Bell, you also look confused. I mean, we had film of Marquise Bell as a green dot, moving him and Damone out of position. Like, they had zero. And shout out to Marquise Bell because he was playing out of position.
Yes.
That's why we put him back in safety. But, I mean, he played his heart out. He did the best that he could. But, sis, the linebackers, let's just be honest, they were totally confused last year.
Right.
They didn't know what was going on. Right. And when your linebackers don't go, that's the center of your defense. When your linebackers don't know what's going on, you're going to look terrible. Like, you're just plain and simple.
Facts. And actually, since you brought up Marquise Bell, that's a great point. Like, I heard this show this past week, and we don't have to dive too deep on it. I just want to bring up a great point because I think it's called Locked On Cowboys. Make sure you guys follow them. They bring up some great points. They actually kind of disagreed at first, but kind of thinking about it, I'm like, yeah, it makes sense how, like you said, Marquise Bell stepped up in that role of linebacker. And granted, he didn't produce great reps, but that's the bottom line. He got those reps. So now we have newer guys coming in this year, as in Maris Leofau. We do have Damone Clark coming in into his third year, but he's still coming along. He's still learning. And then, of course, we have other young guys coming in. Of course, Kendricks, but he's a veteran. So just they brought up a good point about Marquise Bell. Yes, going back into the safety room, but I think it's a good point to bring up that hopefully he doesn't lose the opportunity to be able to have more reps, because it's obviously it's a different room going with the safeties, but hopefully he doesn't miss. I guess I would say he doesn't miss out on that. I guess seniority.
Hold on, gotta cut you off, but we got to shout out. Bruce got the toxic juice. He just dropped $25 in my Cash App. So salute to you.
Correct. And same here, Bruce. Look, thank you so much.
Right, anytime somebody give us that type of money, we do need to interrupt the stream and thank you. So thank you.
Look, shout out to you, sis, and shout out to you, Bruce. Like, correct. Like, shout out to you. Like, we both trying to get our channels up and off the ground, and something like that is definitely mind blowing. And thank you so much, Bruce. We definitely appreciate you. Thank you so much, man.
For sure.
Yeah, but like I was saying, hopefully Marquise Bell doesn't miss out on the opportunity of getting as many reps as he's, I don't want to say deserved, because yes, is going for a different position now. Yeah. But I think he's earned the right, just because he did step up when we needed him, number one. And granted, they weren't all great, but in the beginning of the season, which I forgot, even I did a couple of videos on it last year. He was the leading linebacker, and I think the highest rated linebacker for a couple of weeks, stepping into a role that he didn't, really have that many snaps in previously. So shout out to him. Hopefully he doesn't, hopefully he does still get the chance to. Hopefully that's something that kind of, that he can put in his bank. That kind of the coaches kind of look at it and be like, hey, we got you. You know what I'm saying? We know he stepped up. So.
And it's like he definitely has the experience. The issue is that he's going back to an extremely crowded safety room.
Right, exactly.
And I mean, just look at all the safeties we got: Malik Hooker, Donovan Wilson, Izzy McCollum, Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell. I'm missing somebody else. Oh, Julius Wood.
Right, yeah.
New guy that's Big Game James guy. He's been getting a lot of praise. Julius Wood.
Yeah, I just saw a tweet before we jumped on saying he caught a pick today. I think another pick.
Another pick. So he's been having an amazing OTA mini camp. Yeah. And then you have something DeBerry from Texas, Joshua D or something DeBerry from
Texas. Actually, let me pull up the list right.
We signed him as an undrafted free agent as well. So we've got a lot of freaking safeties, and I just don't know who's going to see the field. Like, Zim only plays, it's been quite clear that we are going to be running for majority 3 linebackers on the field, 2 safeties. Of course, there's going to be nickel packages, but Zim may be a guy like, guys, just because majority of the league plays 3 safeties, like primarily, Zim doesn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? He doesn't have to do nothing he don't want to. If he feels like he's got and the only reason why coordinators do that, obviously, is because linebackers traditionally are not that athletic, but we have pretty athletic linebackers. I mean, you got Damone Clark, who's a former safety. You got Israel Mukwamu, who was a cornerback. You got Marquise Bell, 4'4" guy. Damone Clark, 4'4" guy. Like, we have very fast, rangy linebackers. So just keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, realistically, majority of the time, we're only gonna have 2 safeties on the field. And probably 2 to 3 backups to replace them. So there's going to be some guys not even on this freaking roster. There's probably, shout out to Boss Cowboy, because he came up with the idea of like, maybe we got to trade one of these safeties, because maybe we can trade one of these safeties and get a what they call get a defensive tackle. Because now we have way too many safeties.
Yeah, and also shout out to Sheldrick Redwine. I remember him last year for camp.
Redwine, I forgot about him too.
Yeah, and he had a decent camp last year. And I think they even had, I don't know for sure, but I think there were a couple times where I seen him stay after practice and just taking some extra snaps and getting getting some extra work. And we love seeing guys like that, right? We love seeing guys not only staying after practice, but also talking to the coaches, like, like they mentioned, maybe young guys come. I mean, well, speaking to last year, Redwine coming in, being a younger guy, I think he came in undrafted. So just being a younger guy, maybe some guys are, maybe I think maybe being afraid, or maybe I don't want to say afraid, what I'm saying, but just maybe not wanting to ask a question at a certain time, or maybe not wanting to ask in front of everybody, in front of the group, or anything like that. Or even if you do, and then after taking the extra time where you could be going home, it's summertime, relaxing, doing this and a third, hanging out with the guys and a third, but talking to the coaches, saying, getting more acclimated with your teammates. I'm saying that helps to create the chemistry. So like you said, with it being a deep room, and also Josh Butler too. I don't want to forget anyone on the list. Josh Butler also in the safety room, or actually in the defensive backs room. So just just to your point, Star, it's definitely a crowded room, and hopefully some of these they definitely get the opportunity.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we have so many safeties that a lot of them are starter caliber. So I don't think that, if we cut one of these guys, like, they're gone. You know what I'm saying?
Right, exactly.
So you've got a lot of guys that are potentially on the bubble. One of them, unfortunately, my guy, Izzy McCwamu, I'm really hoping that he pushed through and he somehow makes this roster. I think Wanye is a lock, because I think we signed him for a few years. This is Malik Hooker's last year.
Yeah.
I doubt they're not going to trade Malik Hooker.
Or Wilson either. They just re-signed Wilson. So
yeah, they did. They re-signed Wilson. Was that just last season?
That's probably what I would say. The only room, maybe. I mean, as far as safeties, maybe has like you mentioned, like the wall of like starters. Like, of course, like we have Hooker, we have Wilson.
Right. It's pretty much a wall. There, we'll talk about, today's not that day for the prediction on the safety room, but it's going to be interesting to see like who actually makes a roster and who gets cut, because out of Izzy, Wanye Bell, like those are 3 starting caliber dog safeties.
Right.
So I just don't. And it's like, do you really want to staff these guys? Every single one of them is more athletic than Donovan Wilson, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah.
I think Donovan Wilson possibly could get traded. Will he? I don't know. But when you think of these guys, these young guys are way cheaper. You know what I'm saying? You can get somebody to take on this contract. I don't know. Oh, and then Julius Wood. Like, are we really going to cut him?
Right. Yeah.
Because if he shows up in training camp and preseason, he gonna be like another Isaiah Land. We cut him.
Right. Oh my goodness.
So it's difficult. It's difficult.
Yeah, for real though. Like it's like we talked about competition on the offensive side, but I mean I didn't really look that far ahead to the safety room. But like you mentioned, just having those starter guys and then having those caliber guys who are underneath them, like you know what I'm saying? It's a shout out to Keystone in the building. What's up, man? How you doing? Yeah. Like talk about the competition, like, and even today, just in some of the interviews, they are talking about how they're already kind of having that training camp feel, you know what I'm saying? The offensive side, defensive side kind of going up against each other. So they're already just having that feel. The guys are already kind of getting fired up. So we already knew the competition was going to be, you know what I'm saying, kind of intense with these guys, because they're all young, all coming in trying to make a point, but they're already kind of get the feel, Michael shows up. So that maybe gave them an extra, pump up, hey, we got the greatest guy on our team back in the building. I'm kind of, getting that confidence up a little bit. You're getting to know the guys around them more often. So in order to having that training camp feel, even though they, canceled the last day of practice, the guys still getting together. I think they said they hired the same group that Dak had last year with the Navy. I think not the Navy SEALs, but I think it's called O2X. I believe the O2X group that they brought in.
Yeah. When I heard that Mike brought, what's up, Jameson? Glad to see you.
Hey, Jameson, how you doing?
I heard that Mike brought those guys in. I said, oh wow, because remember Dak when they went to Atlanta, they did the retreat in Atlanta before training camp. That's the group that he brought, and these are like Navy SEAL special trainers. Basically teach groups how to handle conflict, how to go through adversity while actually in the adversity and that type of stuff. And so when I heard that Mike had them there all Minicamp, and I think they're doing a deeper presentation tomorrow, I'm like, Mike is serious. You know what I'm saying? And I think I put on Twitter, I said, Jerry and Steven may be playing games, but Mike is not playing games this year. And I do feel good about that because it does show, because I was kind of worried, like, is Mike McCarthy going to kind of pull a Dan Quinn? Which what I mean is that he knows, like, oh, this is my last year, so let me just protect myself. I don't really care about this team. I don't really care about winning. Let me just protect myself, do what I got to do so that I can get a job at the next place. You know what I'm saying? But it doesn't, from what Mike has done, it doesn't seem like he's doing that. It seems like Mike McCarthy is going to try his best to be the Dallas Cowboys coach for a long time. If that doesn't happen, then that doesn't happen. But it certainly seems like he's going to put in effort, not just from hiring Mike Zimmer, but like getting these special interest groups to come and help the team. And then on top of that, him building a close relationship with Micah. I think that's huge, because I remember either it was last year or the year before last, they had asked Micah about Mike McCarthy, and he's like, oh, I don't talk to him much. Like, my guy is, I speak to Dan, so the fact that Mike knew, with Dan leaving, how he really needed to build that relationship with Micah, because he's the one that's been there, not Mike Zimmer. So he knew, like, if this is one of my best players, leaders, like, I need to pour into this kid. And Micah said that him and Mike all this offseason have just had so many talks about leadership and his role and all of this type of stuff. So I think that's great, because that's all things that I wanted Mike to do. And I think that Mike coming out of training camp, that you establish the captains week one.
Right.
Like establish the captains week one, so that it's clear in the locker room, it's clear to everybody, like who's in charge here. Because I get the idea of switching them out every week, but when you're doing that, like it just doesn't really set a great precedent. You know what I mean? Like
that's a huge point you bring up, Star. Because even from the end of the season, even from the Senior Bowl, when Mike was doing his sit down with the press, he's mentioned that he's never really been in that mindset of a quote unquote 1 year deal, right? He's always said, well, you guys got to go into the season, just planning for that season, being in that moment, not looking ahead, just knowing you have to be in those. How you have to be with the team, even having other coaches on 1 year deal. He said he defers more to the younger coaches, more worried about them, how they may handle it, because he's just, he's more confident in where he is in his career. So, like you mentioned, Star, it's a huge point. Still going into this year with the mindset that, hey, these are my guys. This is, and even the press conference, he doesn't say this is my offense. This is our offense. And he knows just how he's just so well entrenched, not just with the team, but with the offense, with play calling. He says he takes out the as far as the offseason, the weekend is for him. He takes Monday through Friday to try to put together this team, and then even for the weekends he uses the weekends for himself as far as his role as play caller. So he's just so well entrenched with this team. He's so dedicated to this team, and we've seen that from the beginning, Star. We've seen that from from your presentation from that you did, from the series that you did on Mike McCarthy, and just we've seen that since he's come in, his back-to-back 10 plus, we can say 10 plus, but 12 win seasons, and just the kind of the foundation he's laid since being here with the Cowboys. Like he's earned, I just think he's earned so much, like not just the respect, but just even granted, just me personally, just me speaking for me, I wish that he would just got extended, because he's given so much to this team, not just as a coach, but as a play caller, dealing with someone that you give to him, that you force on him, Kellen Moore, and just so much he's been through with this team, and just for him to still come on this quote.
What's up, 100 grand? Glad to see you.
100 grand, how you doing? They're still coming to this year just with the mindset, hey, these are my guys. And now you said to not give up on his guys, and to not give up on his message to the team, to know in no way to falter as a head coach. I just want to give my flowers to Mike McCarthy.
Right, Mike McCarthy definitely deserves it. It hurts my heart when you see guys like Kevin Stefanski get extended. Like, is Kevin Stefanski even close to Mike McCarthy's level? It's really laughable, because it's like, Jerry, you're the one who handicapped Mike.
Correct.
For the first 3 years of his contract.
Facts.
So there's one blip in the radar, and granted, I was mad as heck after Green Bay. I was saying fire Mike, fire Dan Quinn, trade Mike. I was saying all types of crazy stuff.
Right.
But when you think about it, like, Mike McCarthy is a walking 10 plus win coach, just like Dak Prescott is a walking 10 plus win quarterback.
Right.
So you can't give Mike McCarthy even just 2 more years, Jerry. You can't give him just a 2-year extension. We're not saying give him a decade-long extension, but you can't give him more than that. Right. I just think it's sad, because it's like, with all these coaches on 1-year deals, like he said, for the younger coaches, it's hard because of stability. They don't know if they'll be here next year. He's used to it. But even so, like he said, his family moved all the way here from Wisconsin and have built a life here and are happy here. And now they got to pretty much live on eggshells, because they don't know if Jerry's going to fire Mike or not. Like, no one knows. Everybody thinks that if Mike doesn't get here, Jerry's going to fire. We don't know what the hell Jerry's going to do. So I just think it's very unfortunate to treat a coach like to treat Mike McCarthy like he's some bum, because I don't think anybody has won more games than the Cowboys except the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, that has to mean something. And that's right, Keystone. He said they had no problem extending Garrett, right? Y'all let Garrett stay here for 10 years.
Right.
Mike McCarthy has done stuff as a
Kellen Moore as well. Kellen Moore as well. Give him
Kellen Moore too.
chances, bro.
so many chances. It's like you want to fire Mike after the first after one. This is the first year he got back in the play calling since 2018. You saw what he did with the offense with Dak. It wasn't his side. Yeah, Dak had some blips. Offense had some blips, but offense got back on track. Like
exactly.
Like it just makes no sense to say I don't want to even give you 1 or 2 year more of an extension. You know what I'm saying? Knowing the circumstances, but that's Jerry and Stephen Jones for you.
Yeah, but we're gonna let's take a little bit more. I'm actually gonna bring up this article we're talking about offline, sis, by Nick Harris. Like you said, shout out to him. DallasCowboys.com. Just looking at a few more observations from minicamp OTAs this past week, and actually I brought up Star. Well, actually, bring up to the audience that me and Star were talking about before we jumped on. Because last week we actually touched on. We're kind of asking ourselves where they were going to play Awesome Richards and Nathan Thomas. Not specifically, but last week we were talking about O-line. Bro, where these guys were going to be situated, and we brought up, of course, Awesome Richards and Nathan Thomas. And I just wanted to bring up this article. Of course, like I said on my show this past week, shout out to Nick Harris. Make sure you guys take a look at that article because it's definitely well detailed. Let me see if I can bring it up right quick.
Yeah, I just think that and 100 Grain says because he's not a homegrown coach. Yeah, that's right. But my only issue with that is that, hey, Jerry and Steven, like y'all are the ones who only really truly interviewed Mike McCarthy. Y'all didn't interview nobody else, but y'all weren't forced to do that. Y'all chose to do that.
Right.
Y'all got out of the relationship with Jason Garrett and jumped in bed with the next person you met. You know what I'm saying? And you got married to them. And it's like, you could have done a more extensive interview. Like, so I just don't like how they treat Mike McCarthy. I get it.
From the beginning.
And 100 Grand, you're 100% right. I know it's because he's not a beloved son. But it's like, y'all treated him like he was. It's just, the Dallas Cowboys are so weird. I wish I could explain the stuff that they do, but some stuff I don't got no answer for. But anyway, go ahead.
Right. But we just going through just some of the observations. Like I said, we talked about O-line last week, and I don't know if you guys noticed, and I don't know if you guys listened to shout out to Bosh Lombardi. He had on Brian Broaddus these past couple of days talking about what he saw in OTAs, and I kind of just caught on that he mentioned that Tyler Guyton was kind of taking snaps, and Cooper Beebe as well, was taking snaps with the second and third teams. And I was, I kind of thought back to the article I had, read last week that Nick Harris wrote about the second, third team. I don't know if the second or third team lined up here, but he mentioned about the second, whatever team this is: Tyler Guyton, Nathan Thomas, Cooper Beebe, Awesome Richards, and Matt Waletzko. I just kind of brought up the Star like, hey, last week we were talking about how we think they were going to use Awesome Richards and Nathan Thomas, and my guess, I'll say, if I can remember, that we assumed that they were going to put Richards back at tackle, or even at guard, depending on where they want to have him, because we saw last year he took snaps, I believe, at both guard and tackle. And they told Nathan Thomas when he came in that he was going to be focusing on guard. But I guess what caught me off guard is they had Nathan Thomas at left guard, vice right guard. I believe that he was going to take after once Martin got out of here. So just seeing that they have number one Awesome Richards at right guard, and and a great point that Star brought up to me was that it could be because they're short on guys. Number one, this was last week during voluntary, so knowing that everybody was there. So, they could have been, short staff, shorthanded. It's mostly just the first year, second year guys coming in, lining up, with second team. So, I brought this up to Star, and I wanted to, bring it up to you guys viewing, tuning in tonight. Because I think it's interesting that number one, they have him at Awesome Richards, they have him at guard. But just, I wonder if this is going to be something they have going forward, or with the competition being in the room, maybe they could have just been, putting him at different positions, seeing where, he works out best, because this is the time for that. I just thought it was interesting that they have him at guard, Vice being at tackle. And another kind of weird thing, that we don't really hear, Waletzko's name that often, really anymore. So I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of also weird to see his name up there too. I'm like, oh, Waletzko, yeah, we still have him.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, now that I'm looking at this list, it does seem like everybody was there, including Zach Martin. Only Zach Martin, which why Mike McCarthy said this is for second and third year players, because the veterans, like, y'all don't need to be in here. You know, let the other guys come. You know, unfortunately, we don't have enough offensive linemen for all of the starters to sit out. But it is interesting to see that they are playing, because I thought Nate Thomas, was he not a right tackle out of Louisiana? Yeah, so he was a right tackle, but they moved him to left guard, and then got Awesome, who was a left tackle, playing right guard. So
right.
But you know, one of the key things that Mike McCarthy, you know, likes, and I'm gonna talk about this, I'm doing a show on Friday, is versatility. Like, not just on his offensive lineman, period. What's up, Kelvin? Glad to see you.
Hey,
but
Kelvin, how you doing?
Like, Mike McCarthy values versatility. He wants his guys on both sides of the ball. Like, look at it. Offensive line, he wants you to be able to play multiple positions.
Right.
Hey, Niecy, haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, hey, girl, what's up?
Yeah, offensive line, he wants you to be able to play multiple positions. You know, defensive tackle wants multiple positions. Linebackers, he wants you to be able to play all linebacker positions. Quarterbacks, they want you to be able to play inside and outside. Like, he just strongly values wide receivers. He wants his wide receivers to be interchangeable, to where they can play X, Z, Y, what all, you know, all
even at the backfield, he mentioned today in this presser talking about hopefully it doesn't resort to that. We talk about you don't want to do it too often, but having wide receivers coming out the backfield, you know, we saw them use CD Lamb, you know, and not a lot of
wide receivers out of the backfield. Like, he used Turpin that way. He's trying to use Deuce that way. He's trying to use Deuce from running out like a hybrid player, where he can also do some slot wide receiver work. That's here in this screen. This particular article as well. So Mike McCarthy loves and values versatility. So honestly, this doesn't shock me. I think maybe what the coaches were doing was just getting the players comfortable playing multiples, because I think, you know, they want these players to be able to, like I said, play wherever they need to play. Mike McCarthy doesn't really want players to say, oh, you're only this. That's why I feel like, even though Brock Hoffman is starting with the ones, and I know he's aggressive and he's great and he's all of these things, shout out to Brock Hoffman, but Brock Hoffman is not versatile. You know what I'm saying? Matt Walesko is not versatile. So
do you think that might have, I'm gonna cut you off, but do you think that might have an impact on the center competition?
Yeah, I do think so, because Mike McCarthy wants versatility. Brock Hoffman is just a center. He is not a guard. So you know that when it comes to the battle, who's behind him? Cooper Beebe plays center, plays guard, and tackle.
Right. And Bass. They threw Bass in there.
Right. Bass can play tackle. Bass can play guard. He can play guard on both sides, tackle both. So, you know, you got to look at these things. When you're looking at odd man out, I think they're basically evaluating who can play both sides. Because for the bottom guys, it's probably going to be based on that.
Yeah. He mentioned that as being a huge point, not only flexibility, but also special teams. I'm saying being able to adapt to the new rule, but just like you said, just being able to do multiple things. And if you can only do one thing, like you just mentioned Deuce Vaughn, and that was also on the list of observations. And that's, I mean, I'm not gonna say number one that is kind of a bad slight on Deuce, but it's also a slight on the Cowboys. You know, they should have been trying to etch a role for this Deuce's last year. I mean, he got, you know, game time reps. You know, he got preseason reps. So it's not like you didn't know what he was late in the season, so we did not use him. Like, you had this guy getting preseason reps, and he had, you know, a decent camp, a good camp. You know what I'm saying? We heard things about him. So since last to have a full year, and I mean, granted that he had a new offseason, you know, with the Cowboys, but you know they have time, and now they're trying to have him, you know, take reps at the slot. But and so that's number one. Dude's gonna have to step up and try to etch himself a role. Like I said, it's a deep room. Also, on the Cowboys side, like they like to to do player flexibility and things like that. But they stack the room high, so then they want to keep. I mean, he's a draft pick. So it's going to be on them. We know they value their pick, so it's going to be on them to if they want to hold on to it that bad. If he doesn't have a good camp, if he doesn't do well, if I say other running backs, okay, well that's that's how it falls. But if they want to keep this draft pick, if they value this this pick over a UDFA coming in or a free agent coming on, possibly taking on filling in that running back room, they're gonna have to find a role for this guy.
Yeah, I mean they definitely are, and everybody knows it's no secret. I had Deuce as my number one guy above Bijan and Jahmyr Gibbs last year because the only difference between them and him was he's 5'5" or 5'4", and they're 5'9", 5'8", whatever, 5'11", who cares? And, it just sucks because we picked them and it was a great story, but it's like,
right.
Do y'all have a role for him? Do you know how to use him in this system? I'm hoping they're saying that Deuce is getting all the backup, kick return, punt return behind Turpin.
Right.
So having him, Deuce in his interview said that Schottenheimer told him like last year, like that's why he was working so much on slot work, and he said he's watching Cole Beasley and stuff like that because he's trying to find his goal is to find a position on the field.
Yeah.
Find your niche on the field. So I'm really hoping Mike McCarthy and this coaching staff, like, don't sell my guy Deuce short. Like, actually let him compete and actually give him a chance. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I like what I saw from Deuce when they were actually letting him play, getting some snaps.
Right.
So it's like let him actually play, and if he wets the bed or whatever, then you can say, you're just not that guy. You're not ready, but. I feel like you got to at least give him a chance. You got to at least give him, real snaps. It looks like right now, they're giving all the snaps to, especially like first team is going to Rico and Zeke.
Right.
But we know Rico can't really stay healthy, so we know Rico is going to likely miss some games. And I feel like who's behind Rico?
Right.
So it's like you got to give Deuce some real snaps. And real snaps, not let's throw them into the game where we're not even trying to move the ball. Like real plays, real scheme to actually see what this kid can do because he does have a skill set. He has a great skill set. We saw it on film in college. Yeah. It's just all about can y'all utilize his skill set.
Yeah, we could for sure use the speed. You know what I'm saying? Like you mentioned, we have Rico, and even having a Hunter Lipke, or even bringing back Zeke. Like, will we do? And we haven't seen what Nate P can do yet. So that's really the only guy I've heard who has, of course, outside Deuce, who I've heard has speed in this room. So. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully they can find out what he can do because we know he has the speed, and of course this year we're going in with a different O-line. So. And so hopefully, we can do something behind them. So it's just like you said, it's a matter of, of course, it all has to come together. Deuce got to step up. They got to find the role for him. O-line hopefully can step up as well. But like you said, hopefully just being able to find a role for this guy, I think it's going to be important.
Yeah, it's going to be super important. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when you have talent, you just need to find a way to get as much talent as possible on the field.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
And I think, for one thing, like, we were still, like we said, we were still trying to figure out what plays to run, what plays not to run last year. So hopefully, like they said, they did all of that. So we shouldn't be trying to figure anything out. We should know the plays that we're going to run, and you should have packages for all of these guys. You should have packages for Deuce. You should have packages for Turpin. You should have packages for Tolbert and Brooks and all of those guys, CD. Like, you need to have these packages because last year, B Cooks, we hope that he's a lot better this year. And he did come on, 8 touchdowns is nothing to sneeze at. Like, he obviously made an impact for us, but it just seemed like in the clutch, besides the Miami game, but it just seemed like in the clutch, Brandon Cooks wasn't really that dude.
Right.
So,
even like you said, no shot to him, no slight to him. But even if he was, like, I don't feel like Dak will be looking for Brandon Cooks in a moment. Like, okay, who do I have to go to? Who do I have to go to? Like, I just don't feel like Cooks is and shout out to Cooks. Like you said, we haven't really fully seen what he can do for our team yet. Like, we didn't fully utilize him how we fully should have. But like, I just want somebody who can have an impact on the field.
We want somebody who can be dynamic, and I feel like you got dynamic players on offense and defense that we're not really using.
Right.
And I feel like if a player, you may like a player, but if they're not as dynamic as another player, they need to be sitting behind that player. That's just the bottom line. So hopefully they actually let these guys compete at camp, like they said, and these guys actually have to go out there and prove that they deserve to be on the field, and not just it's given to them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you. And just one last piece on OTAs minicamp. I'm sure it's the guy who gets much love through the Cowboys, through the Stars, through the building and all that. But just special shout out to Britt Brown. I heard Ezekiel Elliott's interview, and they asked him a question about why he gives him a hug after they do like a stretch, and Zeke and Britt Brown give each other a hug. And of course Zeke talked about how Britt Brown was there for him, and of course able to get him through that tough time of his. And we heard the stories with Jordan Lewis last year, how he had a tough time getting through his injury. We have John Stevens Jr., we have David Durden, Overshown coming back from injury, we have Diggs coming back, and you just kind of, we see the guys coming back from injury. We see the injury. We don't see them like for a long time, but we know they're going through rehab. We hear about the rehab, and then we see them come back, right? But we don't. Cowboy Nation knows about Britt Brown. We know what he does for the team, but just for other organizations who maybe has their training staff, but what I'm saying, just for us, Cowboy Nation, just to have somebody who they themselves look to, like, hey man, this guy has got me through this tough time. Even Jordan Lewis talked about it, like, and for this guy to be with these players through, I'm sure is a low period in their life where they, like, even Zeke mentioned it, even Jay Lou mentioned it, being low in confidence, not sure when you're going to come back. You're going to come back, but not sure when. It's that timeline. So not only do the Cowboys respect the timeline, we hear McCarthy mention it all the time, and I'm sure the training staff respects it as well, but him just being so knowledgeable, number one, on his specialty, on these injuries, knowing these guys' bodies, and also just being around them, getting to know them as human beings, just being social, just being people. He's able to connect. He's able to connect with these players, and just being able to get them through a tough time in their life, and having hopefully it's not that many this year, but having so many players and star players. Like Star is just crazy what this guy handles. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just not sure. I'm sure other other organizations aren't going to know about him specifically. But just Cowboy Nation, make sure you guys just think about this guy, how he's able to get our players through, number one, the rehab, the off season, and all of that. But just being able to hand these guys as human beings, the emotion behind not just the physicality, but the emotion, the mentality, just being able to bring these guys back to be able to play this game that they love, and at the same level, hopefully at the same level that they were playing at it before.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't see the Zeke interview, but I appreciate you breaking that down and pointing out Britt Brown, because we do have a lot of players coming back from IR, Diggs, John Stevens Jr., Demarion Overshown. Right. So we definitely have players, and like you said, the past players, we had Steele, you had Jay Lou, guys back from potential season career-ending injuries. And one thing that I can say about Dallas Cowboys training staff, rehab staff, Britt Brown, the doctors, and the rest of them is that once these players come here, like, they don't really get re-injured. You look at somebody like Malik Hooker, who, guy could not stay on the field. I don't know how many injuries he's had since he's been here. He hasn't had no lower leg injuries like he was having. So, just I don't have to say, shout out to the medical staff, shout out to the doctors, because they seem to have these guys ready. Yeah. And, although the players may not be mentally ready when they hit the field, because it seems like we do rush the plays a little bit, but these players still, like, they're able to play. They're not playing confidently, but they're still able to play. It's like their body is right. They just they're just trying to get back into the feel of the game and not worry so much about re-injury. Because that's a thing, that's a real thing, guys, that really deters players from really being able to go max out. When you have injury history, you know what I'm saying? Like it does cross their mind. They do think twice. You know what I'm saying?
And you hear more players mentioning that too. We heard Gallup talk about it last year, and even I forget whose interview it was. I think it was Damone Clark's interview where he talked about talking to Demo about coming back from his injury, saying that he knows he's probably going to think about it, but he gave him his advice as far as, I don't want to talk too much about it. I know you're going to do a show about it, but he just gave him his advice about, hey man, don't think about it too hard. Just go out there and play and try to make it.
Go out there and play your game, right? Because he's like, you can get hurt trying not to get hurt. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And you can protect, or consistently be thinking about, my injury, but that's not going to really help you. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, if you're not producing on the field and you don't look good on the field, like as Micah Parsons said, like your body is your engine, and that's all you have to offer these white billionaire owners. If
facts.
your body goes out, or if you're not performing on the field, that's not their fault. They're just going to find someone to replace you. So, you really got to make sure.
We see players go out. I mean, Todd Gurley, he left out early.
Right. Yeah, it's a lot of players that had to retire early because of injury. Because football is something that you got to max out. And if you can't max out, if you are too concerned about your injury, then it's like you shouldn't be playing no more, big dog. You know what I'm saying? And that's because, like I said, there's a lot of young guys who, they only had a couple of years in the NFL. They didn't really have a long time, but unfortunately, that's the way that the cookie crumbles in the NFL.
Before we get out of here, y'all, we're gonna jump on these linebackers right quick. And shout out to what you said, Keystone. Yeah, gotta love the training staff with the doctor, especially with the different Jalen Smith. Yeah, because he had an injury coming in, and like you just mentioned, star guys coming in with the injury, and even if you don't want to talk about Cowboys, even guys outside the building. I think we heard about Jonathan Brooks, the potential draft pick. He had his procedure done here. So and other guys around the league, they know the Cowboys training staff to be, or medical staff
to be top of the line.
Exactly. So it's pretty be well known around the league. Like that says something about it's not just, even though Cowboys may get a bad name, that like for them to get, for the medical staff, like that's just, and how just important it is for these guys to get their body right for this type of sport.
Yep.
But yeah, like I was about to say, like we're gonna jump into these linebackers. Like we kind of touched on it this earlier, but talking about Demarion Overshown, Damone Clark, and other guys in the room. Of course, we know we have Kendricks coming along, Maris Leafau, our draft pick, the third round, or the third round, fourth round this past year.
The third round pick.
Third round, sometimes
one of the
third round. It was him and BB. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just hear about these young guys coming up. Damone Clark, shout out Leafau in his interview. Demo talking about he's learning. Damone talking about he's learning, and that's one thing I took away from his interview. Just like these guys just coming out and saying that they're learning, and even Leafau. I love Leafau. Like he's just showing so much just energy and willingness.
So much growth, so much development. Like these guys are just developing at a crazy pace.
Yes,
crazy
pace. Been talking about it.
Mike McCarthy's been talking about it, but the players too. Like, this rookie class, like they've really come in and like
it's above and beyond, man.
Yeah, it's crazy how fast they're developing. I'll just say that.
Yeah, and even I think even Terrence Steele even talked about working with the guys on the O line, how they come in on the weekends and how they're just catching up.
Yeah, I mean, players are like. I'm gonna do. I don't want to say too much, but yeah, it's gonna be very interesting to talk about just how this team is built, and I do believe Micah Parsons and Dak Prescott are two leaders, right? Like I think a lot of people are expecting this team to be ass. Of course, we as fans know that unless everybody gets injured, like we should be in the playoffs. So, but of course, everybody. What's up, JC? Glad to see you. Thank you for the support.
Yes, appreciate it.
Y'all follow JC Cowboys Network. He does an awesome film breakdowns and reviews. I'll be watching JC's breakdowns. I'll be like, this is crazy. I know he's
right and learning. Oh, I'll be learning. I'll be learning. I'll say
like
that.
the way he breaks it down and all the like the graphics and interaction that he puts in there so that you really understand what you're looking at is crazy. So y'all please give JC Cowboys Network a follow, please. Please subscribe to his YouTube channel, help him grow his channel. But it's just the way these players have developed, and just the type of mentality that we brought to this team is, I do think that we're going to be better than what most people say. But I do like the fact that the Dallas Cowboys are underdogs this year. I love when people disrespect us. I love how they say, we're barely going to win 8 games. We're going to lose all the games against all the good opponents. Dak's going to fall off a cliff. CD's going to fall off a cliff. Micah's going to, everybody sucks. Dak apparently. And I'm so disappointed because Nick Wright, like, you were my guy. Like, I don't know what the hell's going on, but Nick Wright decides today that Dak Prescott's not even a top 17 quarterback. Like, it's just stuff that's going crazy. Like, what's happening? But this is okay. This is what they do for clicks and views. This is what they do for clicks and views.
Right.
And it just is what it is. I hate to see so many guys like Nick Wright, like, you sell out like that. But it's like, whatever. They got to get their bag or whatever. But I think, the Cowboys perform better when the world is against us. So the fact that nobody believes in us, nobody thinks we're going to do shit, everybody thinks we're going to be trash. I love that. I want them to keep saying that. Keep leaving Dak off the list. Keep Micah's a bad leader and a bad player. Keep saying all that stuff, because all of that stuff is just going to fuel these players to go harder, because I think these players, contrary to popular belief, I believe that they do believe in one another.
Yeah. I agree with you. That's actually a great point. That's something that's actually brought up by Maris, by Damone, by Demo, about these guys spending more time together. Like we talked about on our show, really for the past couple of weeks, but we talked about it last year, how the linebackers never really had a true leader to look to. They didn't really have a vet in the room with them. You know what I mean? So number one, having to learn individually, not sure what to do on their own. And then now they have a vet like Kendrick's coming in, and then they don't have that time with the coach, but they have someone like a player be able to look at you in the eye and say, this is how you do it. This is how you do this. This is how you do that. And even, like I said, I want to talk too much about it, because I know you're going to talk about your video. So when I mentioned having a linebackers, but having the Clark mention, going out to eat, spending the extra time. I'm saying having somebody to spend extra time off field with, that's where you really gain the, like the personal level. I'm saying, because it's it's just like having a coworker. You work with somebody, them on that level of having a coworker, but outside the building, you don't really interact with them. You may be like awkward around them because you don't know how to talk to them personally. So building that personal chemistry is different than building that field chemistry. And I just think that off-field chemistry helps to grow that.
That's 100% true. You know what I'm saying? Like the off-field chemistry, Michael Parsons talked about that. He's like, you don't just build relationship in the locker room. Like you build relationship outside the locker room. He was like, I just went on vacation with Chauncey and Sam Williams. Like I'm bonding with my guys. And he made a good point about the rookies. He was like, I've been in the building. Like y'all act like I haven't been here. He's like, I've been in the building. He's like, and I go and talk to the rookies. But he was like, you got to be honest. Like some of these rookies not even going to be here. Some of them not even going to make the roster. You know what I'm saying? Exactly. So he's like, everything will rev up at training camp. He was like, training camp this year is not 2 weeks and then we go into the preseason. It's a full month this year. That's the difference between, he's like, it's a full month. We're going to be out there for a long time. So he was like, I'm going to have all the time that I need to teach these guys. Because he was like, you can't teach these guys without pads. You just can't. He's like, hey, that's
the same thing with CD too. He said he's been in contact with the wide receivers as well, throwing with Dak and things like that.
Right. So it's like these guys, these are professionals. They know what they're doing. When you're an all-pro player, you are treated different, and you should be treated differently. Right. You should be treated differently than the rest of the guys, because you're not just one of the guys. You're like the guy. I think people in Dallas get misconstrued because Dak is there, but it's like Dak is there because that's who he is. Like he believes in it stuff. But just because a player like Micah don't believe in it, don't mean that he's a bad leader. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And they're saying, and that's why Mike McCarthy keeps repeating that this is for the young guys. This is where you learn to be a pro. Like you just said, Star, these are professional players. The rookies aren't pros yet. That's why they're having this time period to learn the practices. They literally have to learn how to practice, because the practices they had in college are not the same that they're having at the pro level. So they literally have to learn how to be a pro.
Exactly.
Literally learning how
to be a pro. And again, like, you can't really teach people when you don't have pads on. And OTAs and all that stuff, they're just doing walkthroughs. They can't put pads on.
Fundamental.
They're just literally doing walkthroughs. Like, things will really heat up, like Micah said, it become real for these players once camp kicks off.
Right.
But
it could even be before that. I mean, these guys have different plans. You know, even Leofow mentioned he's going back home to Hawaii to train. But these guys are more than likely some of the younger guys, even the older guys, if they're sticking around Dallas, if they're going to be close to each other, they're going to be getting up together. They're going to be, making plans.
But the guys have been doing that. That's what they do. They go to the facility, they train and work out, they hang out, they eat together, they spend time together. That's just what they do. So I think everybody just needs to park it on the bad leaders and all of that type of stuff, because it's just nonsense. And we're nobody's trading anybody. Like, just chill out. You know what I'm saying? And y'all can just go follow J Tug, CFO Sports. Like, he talked about this type of stuff extensively. What's up, David? Glad to see you.
David, how you doing?
It's like, it's just as simple as that, y'all. Like, y'all just gotta chill out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just take a chill pill. You know what I'm saying?
Take your personal feelings out of it, y'all.
Take the personal feelings out of it. Right? You can't get rid of somebody. You can't get rid of a 3-time All-Pro player because you don't like the way he talks, or you didn't like the way he said that, or this. Like, that's dumb. That's an emotional decision. That's not a football decision. And you don't want to get rid of guys because of non-football decisions.
Right.
They did that stuff to Amari, and worst mistake in franchise history after Jimmy Johnson.
Yeah.
Like, we have Amari Cooper, we would have already been to an NFC championship, a Super Bowl by now. Like, this is the worst mistake that they've made, but they did it based off of a non-football issue, and it's dumb. It's dumb. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Nisi too, because she did put a comment. She said, I remember when this team was 8-8 and we weren't satisfied. Now we are winning 12 games 3 years straight, and talking is if fans still aren't satisfied. Yup.
Right.
Unfortunately, it's like we just take for granted being good because we're not the best, but it's like, but you're still a very, very good team. You know what I'm saying? And we're just used to that. We could never be the Bears or the Panthers or any of these other teams,
something like that.
Who's constantly looking for quarterbacks who literally barely
even Washington. Like, look next door, y'all.
Right.
Look next door at Washington, who've been looking for quarterbacks for years.
Can barely win games. Like, we're Cowboy fans is not built for that life. But let's get into do our linebacker predictions.
We were just talking about stars. Like I said, I don't want to give too many details because I don't want you to talk too much about linebackers. But like just having Damone Clark, number one, Demarion Overshawn, Damone Clark. I just want to talk about how Demarion just kind of explained. He talked about how, I think he said Damone Clark is going to be at the Sam. He's going to be at the Will. Of course, we have Kendricks being, at the Mike. So they were pretty much going to be, our starters coming on. I mean, first of all, hearing that, I'm not gonna say surprised, but it's good to have number one, just knowing number one where the positions are gonna be, but also just having 3 linebackers on the field again. You know what I'm saying? It's just gonna be different for our defense, and also just, I don't know. Like, I want to say, like, I think it's gonna help Damone Clark. Like you said, he saw last year as his rookie year, but just knowing what position he's gonna be in. And just being able to know whether he's going to be on the tight end or whether he's going to be on the running back. And so just being able to, like you said, just being in contact with Coach Paul Gunther, and just being able to, trying to amp up, having to stop the run. That's really just having that be the main point going into the season, and just knowing that's hopefully going to be, the main point coming down from Zimmer through these coaches having their hands on these players, and hopefully they'll be able to kind of hone in on those skills and kind of ramp up in that area.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think, because I think who we all have in the linebacker room now is Maris, Damone, Eric Kendricks, DeMarvin Overshone.
We also have Buddy Johnson.
Buddy Johnson, Brock Morganson. There was another linebacker that we brought in.
Yeah, Tyrus Wheat. Do they still have him listed as a linebacker?
I'm not sure about Tyrus Wheat, what he's listed as, but he ain't gonna be no linebacker. That's a defensive end. Especially in Zim's defense. But I'm trying to see who else.
They have Jason Johnson. Looks like
there were two linebackers we picked up as undrafted free agents, and one of them got their whole college film from last year. I think that was Brock Morganson. And just looking at the linebackers that we got from, undrafted free agents, like these are guys who are straight downhill thumpers. So that shows to me, like, this is what we're looking for. This is what Zim is looking for in his linebackers that can fly downhill.
Right.
I do think.
And bigger in size.
Right.
Bigger in size.
Yeah, bigger in size, right? So, I think Damarian Overshone gained muscle. I think Damone Clark is still where he was. I think him and Micah got a little bit bigger. I think they gained like 5 pounds, but I think each of the linebackers got a little bit bigger. But if I were gonna make my prediction of who's gonna end up being the starters, I think week 1 it probably will be. Actually, no. I think the starters are gonna be obviously Eric Kendricks because he's gonna be the Mike. But I think when it comes to Damarian Overshone, Damone Clark, and Maris Leofau, I see Maris Leofau pushing one of them out of the starting lineup, not off the team, but I think out of the starting lineup, I do think Maris is going to push one of them.
Even at week 1?
Huh?
Even at week 1?
I mean, it really depends on camp, but yeah, I think so. Because, when you look at Maris is way... Now, unless Damone really gets in that film room and really starts studying, I don't see, even if he is on the field week 1, I definitely see Maris taking over for him. And that makes me sad because I was very high on Damone, but I just think Damone, now you're the odd man out. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you want Maris on the field as much as possible because you want him to take over as the green dot next year. So, and Zim has already said that, like, his goal is to get Maris and Nealon up to speed as quick as possible. So, obviously, he wants them on the field today, not tomorrow. So, they're going to be rotating in. I just think when you have a player like Maris Leofau who's super smart and plays downhill with his hair on fire, he don't have no injury history or anything like that to be concerned of. And so it's really going to come down to Damone because it's like, Damone, you have more starts than everybody else, right? You have more snaps than everybody else. But what you displayed on film last year was just terrible. It was awful. It wasn't good. And you did not get better. So you're not Zim's guy. Zim's guy is Maris Leofau.
Yeah, that's true.
And it could end up being Kendricks, Damone, and Maris because maybe Damarian Overshone's not ready week 1. That's also a possibility.
True. Yeah.
That's also a possibility because Damone is still rehabbing. He haven't even been worked in, like, practicing yet. So we'll see if he's even ready by training camp. So
So I guess Damone would just better go ahead and look forward to playing in preseason because he's gonna have 2 guys.
Damone will be playing. He has to play in preseason because what we saw from him last year was terrible.
Yeah,
and I hate saying that, but it wasn't good. Like, he was the one linebacker where I just felt like you never got better. But I do think him not having any help, any leadership did play a role in that. A big role. And I'm gonna break it down, tomorrow. Like, I broke it down talking about that. And so I do think that, like, he can get better. I'm not out on him by any means. I'm not saying I'm out on him. I want to throw him away or get him off the team. He's a bum. But I definitely think that, like, he's got a lot to show and prove because if Zim doesn't know you, he just looking at that film last year. He's like, this is pretty bad.
Yeah.
He obviously saw it and said, we're moving Marquise right back to. I'm gonna move this guy back to a crowded room because I feel like You just gonna have to get in where you fit in, because as a linebacker, you can't play linebacker for me, big dog. That's basically what he said. You can't. He can't play no linebacker for me. So, it's gonna be real interesting to see how this stuff shakes out. But
and it's also gonna be interesting to see how many they actually keep on, because like we're talking about the starters, but just for me looking down the list, I mean I could see maybe Buddy Johnson, maybe heading up the linebacker room.
Buddy Johnson, I don't think he's gonna be on the roster.
But what other? I'm not gonna say we don't have any other linebackers, but I know we have depth, but I know a lot of guys we have, like you said, it's gonna be coming down to camp and to have these battles sort out. But I mean, it's a new scheme for all these guys. I mean, I just say Buddy Johnson because him being here last year and being in the special teams and getting those reps in with the special teams.
He played games last year though? He was active.
I think late in the season. I think the last 2 or 3 games. I for sure saw him on special teams. I don't know about making deep. Actually,
I didn't even know he was active last year. I mean, if he's active, then yeah, I mean that definitely plays a part. But I do think like if he's on the fringe and then Zim is the one who said let's get these undrafted free agents, I just him taking his spot.
Yeah, I feel you.
But that it just all depends. I don't remember Buddy Johnson playing at all. But looking at the film, like I said, those 2 linebackers that we got, I mean, these are guys that love to hit and love to fly downhill, and that's clearly the type of linebackers that Zim is looking for. So if you don't fit that, if you're more of a finesse pass coverage linebacker only, you're not going to really fit into Zimmer's scheme, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's a great point. Like you say, it all matters about having. Well, I'm not saying it all matters, but it definitely matters to have a quote unquote sponsor in the building. Like we talk about Izzy, not really have. DQ was was the guy who brought him in. Like you said, like you just said, Jamal Clark isn't necessarily Zimmer's guy, so it's like. You kind of don't think it's same thing with Buddy Johnson. So, like you say, he brought in, especially when they brought in, 2 to 3 or 3 to 4 newer linebackers. I'm saying so they're definitely looking at.
On top of that, you added in veteran Damian Wilson.
Oh my God, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So we're obviously going to carry a lot of linebackers this year because we run a 3 linebacker system. So luckily for those guys, you really do have a chance to make the roster because we value linebackers now. But as far as who's going to be getting real snaps and not just here on the practice squad, it's going to be real hard for anybody to beat out the 4, which is Eric Kendricks, Demarion Overshown, Damone Clark, and Marius Leofau.
Yeah.
I think those are your top 4 guys right now, barring injury.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, well, just before we get out of here, make sure you guys tune in next week, for our show next week. Hopefully there'll be a little bit more news. I'm not sure. I mean, I think the guys go on break, after tomorrow, correct?
Yeah. The guys are on break now, so they'll be on vacation until training camp.
They actually announced the Cowboy Nation. I mean, if you guys saw the dates, they finally announced the first day, potential first day, because they're saying as early as July 23rd. When the first day when the guys touch down, and or when the guys get the Oxnard in July.
Right. I'm trying to see if I can pull up.
Before we get out of here, guys, while she's pulling that up, make sure you guys, if you haven't yet, hit the like button, the share button, subscribe. If you listen on Twitter, like, subscribe, retweet. Make sure you guys give us both a follow. Make sure you hit at Cravin Cowboys on IG, on Twitter, on YouTube, and also make sure you guys hit Stargazer Sports Media on IG, YouTube. Make sure you guys hit Stargazer on Twitter, and make sure you guys change E to the number 3 and have 2 R's at the end.
Appreciate that, sis. I was trying to share something. Oh, you got it. Can you take off the our thing just so we can show this at the end? There y'all go. But those are the dates. Shout out to Patrick Nosey Walker. Exit out all of this BS.
Yeah.
Shout out to Patrick Nosey Walker. Those are the official dates for training camp, guys. So, like Mickey said, July 2nd. They'll depart July 2nd. First practice held July 3rd, and they'll be there till August 22nd. So they will be at training camp for a full month.
Yeah, and just like you said earlier, Star Micah mentioned they're going to be there for a full month, and that's a change from last year. I think last year
that's definitely a change, because I think last year
Yeah, they got a body there like with the 12th or the 15th or something like that.
Last year's camp was short because I remember I'm like, we only been here 2 weeks and we're already
you know what I'm saying, right? Already
headed to the preseason.
Yeah.
That was crazy. Yeah, last year's, let me see, hold on.
Yeah, because I was surprised to see that they were going to be there till the 22nd. Because even after the 2 preseason games, they're still going to be in Oxnard.
Yeah. Last year was only July 26th through August 15th.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the spin.
And then preseason. What was the preseason game? Hold on.
I think the first one was what, the Raiders? Not the Raiders. Seahawks or something.
I'm trying to see what date it was.
Oh, okay.
Hold on. I think if we go to preseason, they put preseason on here.
It should be.
Yeah, I think it was this. I think, yeah, it started on 8/12. We played the Jaguars.
Oh, that's what it was. The Jags. Yeah.
Yeah. So now, what's the have they released the schedule dates now?
I know they said. I think it's the 11th. We play the Rams because they said the 8th is that joint practice. And then I think
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably. It looks like August 8th. You're right on it, sis. So August 8th will be the first day of preseason, but we still gonna be at camp till August 22nd. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so they gonna be that's a long time to be
right. Yeah. We're gonna be playing games and also just continuously going back to training camp. So
Right, and I mean, and they mentioned that because they're playing the 2 West Coast teams. They're playing the Rams and then the Chargers. So maybe they're just saying it is made, and then they go
right. So we're just gonna go straight from the field to the camp. Right. And y'all know after that first preseason game, they start. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they start dwindling down the roster. So
yeah, that is right. Yeah,
very interesting to see what happens. But we're excited for camp. So. July 22nd, but it'll be, see what we do between this time. Hopefully we sign another defensive tackle.
Right.
Hopefully
we just got that money for Galley's contract after post June 1.
Hopefully maybe we trade for a defensive tackle or something. Hopefully CD gets paid.
Yes.
We're really love. Right, and Dak as well. They're gonna drag out Dak till after preseason. We already know that.
They gonna sign that jank Thursday night, 7:59 before the first football.
Yeah, before the first.
Right, you know how they do
because they like to play games. Right. But definitely they should get CD for sure. Like we don't want CD missing training camp. Like
for sure. Like come on, like and he don't want, like you said, Star. He don't want to miss it either. Like I mean, these guys want to be guys.
CD ready to come home. I can see it in his face. So. Get it done, Jerry. Get it done.
Yes.
Please and thank you. We shouldn't have an impasse on years and nothing like that. Like, just get it done, Jerry, please.
Yes. Please.
Anyway.
Yeah, make sure you guys catch us next week. Hopefully have some news coming out next week and be able to get you guys next week. Yep. Thank you for spending your time. Thank you for spending your Wednesday evening with us. Rocking with us through this show. Gave you an hour 15 of great content. I think we did a great show tonight.
Exactly, great content.
Yeah, man. Thanks for hanging out with you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us, you guys. We'll catch you guys next time. Have a great evening. Cowboy Nation, we out.
See you later.
See y'all.